Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something that I think a lot of us wonder about. Why do some people just seem to handle pressure so differently?
Right.
That quiet confidence,
Mhm.
when things get uncertain or opportunity pops up, they're just steady, while
Yeah.
the rest of us might be scrambling.
It's a huge question, and it's really tempting to just go with the easy answers, isn't it? That they're just naturally talented or they got lucky.
The right connections, born that way, all of it.
Exactly. But the source material we processed for this deep dive, it tells a very different story, a much more specific one. It suggests that these effective leaders, they're operating from a kind of psychological blueprint.
A hidden set of rules.
Yeah, a hidden set of what they call mental models. And that's what separates them completely from, well, from reactive thinkers.
Which is most of us, most of the time.
Hmm.
And that's really our mission today. We want to uncover that very first foundational model in this blueprint. The challenge we're putting to you is this. The real gap, the one between your current performance and your absolute potential.
Right.
It isn't what you know. It's not even what you do. It's about how you think.
And there's this quiet, really intentional training that happens long, long before anyone gets a title. It's about accessing this hidden layer of cognitive control.
So it's an internal game first.
It has to be. What we found is that real leadership, it doesn't start with a promotion or some kind of external recognition. It starts with an internal awakening.
Okay.
If you look at the highest achievers, their greatest consistency isn't their output, it's their internal state. The way you think, that voice in your head, your emotional defaults, it's either building your future or it's silently sabotaging it.
And that sabotage, that's the default setting, right? We're just running on autopilot.
Precisely. The vast majority of people are living in a state of just continuous reaction. An email lands, they fire back a reply.
A knee-jerk reply.
Yeah. A big challenge shows up, they panic or they procrastinate, and they have these mental habits they've never even looked at, and they mistake them for their personality.
Oh, that's just how I am.
I'm just a hothead, or I'm not good under pressure, but they're not personality traits. They're just automatic neurological responses built up over years.
So if we want to unlock that self-leadership, we have to get off that autopilot.
Yeah.
How do we even begin to do that?
We start with the very first mental model, the foundation for everything else. Awareness.
Awareness.
It's the absolute prerequisite. Without it, you're basically a passenger in your own life. You're just being driven around by unmanaged emotions and circumstances.
Okay, let's unpack that because awareness can sound a little cliche,
Yeah.
But the sources really hammer home how incredibly difficult this is to master.
Me too.
The core issue, they argue, is this huge illusion we all live with.
Mhm.
We think our thoughts are true just because they're ours, because they're happening in our own heads.
And that's the pivotal insight. That's the key that frees the leader's mind. A thought is not a truth. A thought is an interpretation.
A story.
It's a subjective story your brain just spits out, right?
Yeah.
Based on your memories, your fears, your desires, all that old conditioning.
Yeah.
And if you confuse that story with reality, you're a prisoner to it.
So it's the difference between the event,
Yeah.
the thing that actually happened, and the story you tell yourself about it. The sources had that great analogy with the two people in the same storm.
Yes. So imagine an economic downturn. Sudden, unexpected. It's the same storm for everyone.
Okay.
Person A, their mind immediately defaults to a fear-based story. They see the numbers and their brain says, this is terrible, I'm helpless, I'm going to lose everything.
It's a narrative of victimhood. It's paralysis.
A complete dead end.
Yeah.
But person B, they're in the exact same storm, facing the same tough facts, but their mind generates a different story. They think, okay, this is difficult, but I've handled difficult things before. Where's the opportunity here?
Same event, totally different story.
And that leads to a totally different outcome. The leader develops that mental muscle to separate those two things instantly, the objective reality of the event and the subjective, usually fear-driven story.
And once you can spot that difference, you're free. You can actually question your own reactions.
That is the exact moment the shift begins.
That makes sense in theory, but I mean, when you are genuinely terrified or someone just hits you with some really harsh feedback,
Yeah.
how does just observing the thought stop you from lashing out? You need
Right.
some kind of tool,
Yeah.
a mechanism.
You're right. You've just hit on the key difference between passive awareness and let's call it operational awareness. And the mechanism, the tool that's emphasized over and over again in the material is called the pause.
The pause. Is that more than just, take a deep breath?
Oh, it's so much more. The breath can kick it off, sure, but we can think of the pause as a forced cognitive delay. It's a momentary self-interruption. You're deliberately trying to bypass that immediate impulsive reaction.
From the emotional part of the brain.
Exactly, the limbic system. And instead, you're intentionally activating the higher reasoning part, the prefrontal cortex.
So you're literally performing a deliberate neurological intervention on yourself.
You are. And even a delay of just 3 to 5 seconds, that can be enough to transfer authority from your fear center to your analytical choice-making center. It creates the space you need to choose a response instead of just falling into that automatic reaction.
Let's make this real. Say you get a really harsh personal criticism in an email.
Yeah.
The automatic reaction is anger, defensiveness, ego.
Right.
What does a leader do in the pause?
So they activate that 3-second delay. Instead of firing back that defensive email, they separate the event criticism received from the story, I am under attack. And they choose to analyze. They ask themselves, is this feedback, however badly it was delivered, is any of it useful? What can I learn?
They're choosing learning over just protecting their ego.
Precisely. Or think about a sudden project crisis. A system fails. The average mind sees chaos, feels that pressure, and it either freezes or it rushes into some desperate fix.
Panic mode?
Total panic mode. The leader pauses. They slow down their own mental timeline. They notice that impulse to panic, and they consciously choose not to let it make the decision. They move into analysis. What are the facts? Who needs to know? What is the single most important next step?
They're choosing clarity over that feeling of urgency.
Exactly.
So that clarity, which is created by the pause, is the foundation.
Yeah.
But once you've created that space, what are the best leaders actually doing in there? The sources break it down into 3 really practical functions of awareness.
Yes, and this is where it gets really powerful. Awareness isn't just about noticing things, it's about application. Without these 3, it's just passive.
Okay, let's take the first one, which seems to be all about self-knowledge, self-observation.
This one is profound. Leaders study themselves like a scientist, not like a critic.
That's a great distinction.
Because they get it. If they don't understand their own internal operating system, they can't possibly optimize it. So they just observe their reactions without adding any judgment or shame to it.
What kind of questions are they asking themselves to find those patterns?
They're basically mapping their own triggers. They're asking, okay, under what specific conditions do I get angry? Why do I avoid that specific challenge? You know, the financial review or the difficult conversation. When I feel stressed, what are my top 3 go-to non-productive actions?
So they're looking for loops.
They're looking for the loops, the when and the why of their own defaults, so they can consciously choose to override them later.
And that leads right into the second function, emotional regulation. This is probably the one people see the most on the outside, right? That person who is just calm in the middle of a storm.
Absolutely. Awareness lets a leader feel the whole range of emotions, anger, stress, real fear, but they don't let those signals take over the controls. They get this crucial reframe. Emotions are signals, not dictators.
Okay, how does that reframe actually work? When you feel genuine panic, how do you stop it from just becoming paralysis?
It's a process called cognitive reappraisal. The aware leader feels the fear, recognizes it as a signal. It might mean danger, or it might just mean high stakes. But instead of collapsing into the feeling, they mentally step back and just label it. Ah, that's stress. Or, okay, that's the feeling of uncertainty.
Just by naming it.
Just by naming it, you create distance, you create space. You acknowledge the signal, but you choose the action your strategy requires, not the action your fear is demanding.
You accept the feeling, but you don't let it drive the bus.
Perfect way to put it. They still feel nervous before a big negotiation, but they move forward anyway because their actions are guided by strategy, not by their nerves.
Which brings us to the third one, perspective shifting. This feels like where awareness turns a tough personal moment into a real leadership moment.
Yes, this is the ability to just instantly zoom out. When something goes wrong, the average mind is trapped. It's stuck in this narrow, frustrating view of the immediate problem. The leader uses awareness to step back and look at it from a few different angles.
What are the questions they ask to make that shift happen?
They immediately ask, how would someone I respect, someone wiser or stronger, how would they handle this exact failure? Or, if I look at this from 10 years away, how much will this feeling matter?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And the most powerful one, what hidden opportunity, what critical lesson is buried inside this difficulty that I need to find? They force their mind to look for the constructive answer. It pulls them right out of the emotional trap.
What's so wild is that everyone has that inner voice, right? That dialogue is running all the time. But the sources show that the leader's inner dialogue just it sounds different.
It's completely
Like because of these models, where the average mind is thinking in terms of limits and fear, the leader's mind is all about strategy and possibility.
Let's use an example. A project that's critical for your reputation just failed because of an oversight from someone on your team. It's a crisis, right?
Okay, the average mind, feeling that embarrassment, immediately goes to blame. This is a disaster. Why me? I can't trust anyone. It's just a search for who to blame.
Yes. But the leader practicing these skills, they feel that spike of frustration, of course. But they immediately shift the dialogue. It becomes, okay, the event happened. What is this teaching me about our systems? What's the root cause? And what's the fastest way to fix the outcome, not the blame?
Such a powerful contrast.
Yeah.
What about a moment of just deep uncertainty? Maybe the company's pivoting or you're changing careers. The outcome is totally unknown.
The average mind freezes. It's all future casting fear. What if I fail? What if I look stupid? It's safer to just retreat.
But the aware leader, they see that uncertainty as potential.
As pure potential. Their inner voice is saying, what if this is the breakthrough I've been waiting for? The uncertainty means the reward is high. I need to lean in, but make sure I have good contingency plans.
And what about that feeling of just complete overwhelm? The to-do list is impossible. The scope of the project is massive.
The reactive mind just shuts down. I can't do this. It's too much. I'm just going to check out until it goes away.
Which it never does.
Never. The leader's mind uses the pause and emotional regulation to find structure. The inner voice says, okay, this feeling of overwhelm is just a signal that this is complex. I can handle complex. Let me just break this down into the first 3 steps, and I'm only going to focus on step 1.
And that simple act, just learning to watch your thoughts without instantly believing them or reacting to them,
Yeah.
that might be the most powerful exercise there is. It creates this real internal freedom.
It's the moment of realization.
Yeah, that moment when you truly get, I am not my thoughts, I'm the one watching them. And that's where that quiet internal strength comes from.
And this brings us right back to the core hierarchy in the sources. Influencing other people, that's stage 2 of leadership. Stage 1, the foundation, is mastering your own mind. Leadership begins and ends with self-leadership.
And self-leadership means you're no longer a victim of your circumstances or your emotions. You are consciously managing your own reactions. You're staying calm under pressure. And you keep moving forward when everyone else is spinning out.
And that is how clarity is created. It isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you actively build by applying awareness. As soon as you start consciously watching your own patterns, your life just clarifies. Instantly.
It helps you see which habits actually serve you and which beliefs are holding you back. And maybe most importantly, which of your fears are real and which are just. Illusions manufactured by your own brain.
Clarity is the leader's greatest advantage, hands down.
So that shift from being constantly reactive to consistently aware is the quietest kind of power there is.
You stop taking everything so personally. You stop rushing big decisions based on a temporary emotional spike. You escape that internal chaos, and you start acting with this quiet power and real confidence.
And it's not loud or flashy. It's disciplined. It's built one conscious thought, one deliberate pause at a time. The sources are so clear on this. Leaders don't wait for the perfect moment. They create their internal state first, and that state then determines the outcome.
Which leaves us with a final question for you, a provocative one, based on this whole blueprint. If real leadership begins the moment you take full responsibility for the direction of your own mind, what is the single most dominant mental habit, that reaction loop of fear or anger or avoidance that you're currently running on autopilot? What's the one you need to name, pause, and start studying like a scientist today? Because that realization, that alone, sets the stage for everything that comes next.